There was a time in my life where I dealt with two Machiavellian narcissists at the same time. I was working for one in a retail shop and I was dating the other. Here's my story on the first one. I used to work in a retail shop in a mall owned by a couple that had been married for 20 years. Let's just call them Betty and Bo. It was Betty's shop, and now I see that she wanted this attention so bad that she called the shop Betty Bo's Apparel. She thought that placing his name in the title would get his attention. The shop sold church clothes and hats and choir robes. Not only did she own this shop, she also owned a modeling agency and would put on fashion shows. She was hoping that he would attend and tell her a good job. Well, that never happened. Yet this poor, downtrodden, codependent woman continued to try to get Bo's attention. I knew that Bo was mean and evil and that he absolutely had zero moral compass. I knew that he had shallow emotions and no feeling for anybody except for himself. I knew something was deeply wrong with this person, but I didn't know it had a name. Bo thought that he was a god and that everybody should kneel before him. I worked there for 1 year. During that 1 year, Bo did the following: gaslight everybody every day. He accused me with inflammatory statements of stealing jackets. He worded the statement like this: "What time did you steal that jacket?" Naturally, this caused a negative reaction out of me, and I would go off on him. He would keep it up so we could argue either inside or outside of the shop. He accused me of not putting up the FedEx and UPS packages when they hadn't even been delivered yet. He would accuse me of not vacuuming the floors. He used inflammatory language such as, "Tell me why you didn't vacuum the floor and don't say I forgot. I want to hear you say I'm irresponsible." Naturally, I went off on him. His deceitfulness was over the top. He was underhanded, sneaky, and overly evil. He came to the shop at 7 a.m. and unlocked the shop door. The mall opened at 9 a.m. I arrived at 8:50 to open the shop, and he was already there claiming that he just came in a few minutes ago and the door was unlocked. He said, "I want to hear you say that you are irresponsible." My comment was, if I'm that irresponsible, then why do y'all keep paying me? Shouldn't I be fired? Furthermore, I locked the door last night and you're in here now, meaning that you unlocked the door. Otherwise, how did you get in? He said that he got in because I left the door unlocked. I pointed to the camera across the hall and said, "There's a camera. If I ask the mall manager to show me what happened, what do you think we'll see?" His response was, "Oh, well, it's no big deal. Just be careful in the future." The truth is, he unlocked the door and the camera caught it, and he knew that it wasn't past me to go get the mall manager and look at the tape. Betty called me from home on a Monday and told me she had been sick all weekend and for me to run the shop until she comes back. 1 week went by. I had not heard from Betty or Bo. I called to check on Betty out of the goodness of my heart. Bo answered the phone. I asked how Betty was doing. He yelled into the phone, "You know she's sick and you called and disturbed her. I'll take care of her and I'll tell you when she's better or not. Stop calling." And then he hung up on me. Betty came back the following week and I asked her if Bo told her that I called. She said no. He didn't tell me that anybody called. I wondered how many other people may have called and he yelled at them too, and then chose not to let Betty know that people cared about her. Pure evil isolation. The FBI came in one day asking questions. Neither Betty nor Bo was in the shop. I told the FBI exactly what they wanted to know. Betty and Bo came in later in the afternoon, heated with me. They said I was supposed to lie to the FBI. Of course, I went off on them and made it known that I will not lie to any FBI, nor will I spend time in jail for the two of them. Bo wanted to talk smack. I told him, "I have their card right here. I can call them right now and tell them you're here. Furthermore, they must know you did something if they're rolling up in here. Do you want me to call them?" His response was, "No, I already spoke to them." Then I didn't hear anything else about the FBI. 2 baby mamas came in with a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. Betty and Bo had been married 20 years. You do the math. The baby mamas wanted their child support and was mad because Bo skipped 3 months of payments on both kids. Betty came out and wrote the women checks and yelled at them not to ever come to her place of business again. The woman responded with, "Had you kept your man in check, we wouldn't be in here." Then they left out laughing. Betty was very upset and told me not to say anything about those tramps. Betty's mother died. She had a funeral planned for her mother. Bo canceled her mother's funeral. He said he was protecting her from everybody feeling sorry for her. She didn't need all those people around. Betty agreed to it, and they had a graveside service and didn't tell anybody. Bo's mother died, and he had an extravagant funeral. Everybody was invited, and he was the center of attention with his antics and falling out. Betty sat there by his side to comfort him, and she didn't give a second thought to her own mother's funeral that he canceled. His isolation technique worked. Narcissists do things to benefit themselves and no one else. He had no ill will towards Betty's mother. Bo canceled Betty's mother's funeral because he didn't want anybody to show up and tell him how sorry he was. Plus, all of the attention would be on her. He was protecting himself with no regards to her grieving the loss of her mother. This is how evil Machiavellian narcissists can be, and this is how twisted they think. Now, this was the last straw. Bo came into the shop being his usual obnoxious self. He accused me of things, gaslighted me to no end, and made little threats, and then he left. I had had it with that fool. I spoke with Betty and told her I couldn't take any more of Bo. Her response was, "A lot of people complain about Bo. If people would just get to know him, he's not that bad. He's really a good guy. He doesn't mean the things he says. He tries to say the right thing. It just comes out wrong." I said, "Really? How many years has he not been able to say the right things? This man is a nightmare." Betty's response, "Oh, that's just how he is. People just need to get used to him, that's all." Apparently, Betty told Bo what I said. Bo came in later and yelled at me, "Why don't you fear me?" This sparked off a conversation about fear equals respect. He felt that in order to get respect, he had to be feared by the subject, which was me, first. I didn't get it, couldn't get it, didn't want to understand it because the theory was so stupid that I quit. I told him, "I am not her," pointing to his wife. "You will not treat me the same way you treat her. In order to get respect, you have to give it. You seem to want respect without respecting others. That's not how it works." His response was, "I don't have to respect others. People need to respect me." My response was, "You are a spineless little cowardice wimp, and she's pathetic." I got my things and left. He yelled out the door behind me, "You're a quitter. You're not going anywhere in life. You need to learn how to get along with people." Now, keep in mind, he'd accused me of stealing jackets, not putting up FedEx packages, told me to say I was irresponsible, and then gaslighted me every single day. I finally leave, and he calls me a quitter and says I can't get along with people. That is crazy. This made me so mad and so angry. How dare he say something like that to me after making my life completely miserable day in and day out with his deliberate evilness? And Betty was sad, sorry, and pathetic. Fast forward to now, present day. Betty and Bo are bankrupt. Their house is foreclosed. Betty and Bo's apparel is closed permanently because they couldn't afford to keep it open. And I said to myself, gee, I wonder who's responsible for that. I swear this man was Satan on steroids.